morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on what side of the world you're in. I'm HalfLifeSistah, and this is my hubby Wolf Kane.
What's up, everybody?
And welcome to another episode of Sistah and Wolf for Action.
Now, I'm a little under the weather. I'm fighting off a cold, so from time to time I might need to blow my nose or cough or whatever, but I'll try to keep that to a minimum. But we definitely wanted to get this reaction done because it was on the 13th of this week that we lost Chuck.
Yeah.
And people have been mentioning him to you. I've mentioned him to you. So you're not familiar with his music, but you at least know that Chuck Schuldiner, the guy here in the front, has passed away.
Wow.
It happened in 2001. So I'd like to do a little tribute to him. You don't know this because up until this point, I've never had an excuse or a reason to explain to you what he and what death means to me, but you do know. Every time I say that I had a death metal phase,
yeah.
it's his fault.
Oh, okay.
It's odd because what happens when you create a metal band, you name it death, and you create kind of a new sound.
Gotcha.
People want to coin you as the godfather of that genre, right? So he's technically known as the godfather of death metal, Evil Chuck, but the reality is he never considered himself the godfather of death metal. He doesn't consider his music necessarily to be death metal per se. And it's not a coincidence that when you listen to Chuck's voice when he sings, he sounds a bit more clean.
Okay.
And that's partly because he's never necessarily liked or tried to do what's now considered a death metal voice, that kind of guttural. He wanted to actually sing cleaner, but technically he just couldn't.
Gotcha.
Later on in his career, he actually branched out shortly before his death to another band called Control Denied, and he actually had someone else sing for him, and he said that this is kind of the voice I've always wanted in a band, but it's just not something he could pull off himself.
Wow, okay, gotcha. I can appreciate him, that honesty.
Yeah, but when he released Scream Bloody Gore, his first album, when I got my hands on that, the first real metal album that I heard was Master of Puppets from Metallica, and that made me realize just how good music and metal can sound, and I never looked back from there.
Wow, yeah.
But when I got my hands on Scream Bloody Gore, first of all, going to the mall and just looking at albums, because we didn't have the internet, so you didn't know what was going to sound good and what wasn't. You just had to buy something that had a cool cover.
A cool cover, yeah.
The cover that they had on Scream Bloody Gore was like this skeleton sitting on a throne in a robe with like a cup reaching out towards you while other skeletons are down by his feet also drinking. It kind of had like this Conan Barbarian vibe. And it just looked so cool, I had to buy it because I'm like, if the cover is this cool,
yeah, it has to be cool music.
What does the music sound like,
of
right?
course. Yeah.
And man, first of all, it's incredibly brutal. It was the onset of what we call extreme metal.
Extreme metal. Okay.
Yeah, so you've got Slayer, you've got Metallica, you've got Megadeth, you've got the thrash that's coming up, that's changing metal and taking it to the next level. All of them being influenced by the new wave of British metal, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, people like that.
Yeah.
So Chuck was being influenced by all these people, but now it was his turn to kind of put his own signature on what was coming next.
Right.
And similar to Dave Mustaine from Megadeth, a frontman who was the lead singer, but also one of the greatest guitarists that's ever lived. In my opinion, greatly underappreciated what his influence and just how good of a musician this man was. If you see him play, I'm going to be sharing several songs with you.
Okay.
One of them being The Voice of Souls, which everyone has been asking for. It's a Make Sister Cry. They've been wanting you to listen to this. It's an instrumental. But then I also want you to hear off of their early albums, one of the first songs, Open Casket, which is, I think, one of their best early old school death metal songs.
Open Casket.
That'll be a love it or hate it because, again, with death metal, it's not for everybody.
Gotcha.
I want to play the individual thought patterns, which is something we've talked about before, where the guy from King Diamond, the guitarist from King Diamond with his incredible sound came on that album. I would like to play that from you, but I don't want to play that for you early before I play you Open Casket, because that's more of a new sound and Open Casket is kind of their original sound.
Gotcha.
And it's kind of hard to go from a new clean sound
of
into
course.
the old school
Makes
80s
sense.
stuff.
Yeah.
So I want to introduce you to the old original stuff
Right.
first,
Appreciate that
and
first
then we'll go into
then-
individual thought patterns.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
So a little bit about Chuck. He was born in 67. One of his parents was Jewish, Austrian. Other one was from Long Beach, New Yorker. He has that kind of mix in him. They moved to Orlando, Florida, so technically he's
Floridian.
a Floridian, and Death is a Florida band. But I mean, he started his first band when he was 16.
That's crazy.
One of those guys, started at a very early age and just incredibly talented. He obviously, I have band members here in the back, but he's the only constant in Death. So
Really?
he would constantly change band members.
Okay.
Again, another similarity to him and Dave is
Dave.
that he's a perfectionist,
Gotcha.
and but the difference with him and Dave is Chuck is well known to be one of the nicest guys in metal.
Really?
If you ask him what his philosophy or religion was or what he believed in, it would be love, friendship, kindness to animals.
That's what's up.
That was his philosophy.
Beautiful.
It's weird because it was almost like in my subconscious that when I was introduced to him, like I got it immediately.
Yeah.
You've got some of the most guttural, extreme music you've ever heard.
Wow, I'm excited.
Not afraid to touch about the corruption of humanity, abortion, just all these topics that, his belief was that Earth was, again, he wasn't particularly religious, even though he came from kind of a Jewish household.
Yeah.
He never had like a fundamental religious ideal, but he always considered if there was a heaven or a hell, it was Earth. Because you've got hell with the demons that are in human beings and the evil that they do, and you've got heaven, which is love and all the good that is also on the earth. So that's the kind of guy he was. Never heavy into drug use, a little bit of alcohol, a little bit of weed, but he didn't like musicians who didn't know how to control themselves, were being a bad stereotype for their genre.
Gotcha.
So that's the kind of guy we're dealing with.
Wow.
Not the kind of guy you want to see pass away at 34. Okay.
Jeez, 34. How did he pass?
He got he was feeling a pain in his neck. He thought it was a pinched nerve. He went to chiropractors, acupuncture, tried to work it out. They recommend he get an MRI. Turns out he's got a tumor, an invasive brain tumor on his spine. He had to get surgery. He did chemotherapy. He actually went into remission. It started to look like he was going to recover. And then about a year later, so this is about 99, 2000, and then about a year later, it came back. And one thing you have to understand about metal in the 80s and 90s, you weren't doing this for the money.
Yeah.
It's not like you were going to be rich off of this stuff.
Yeah.
So when he relapsed, when the cancer came back,
Right.
the first surgery I think cost like $70,000. His family could barely cover that cost. Not only that, he got insurance when he got sick, but because the tumor was a pre-existing condition, one thing we take for granted now is that after Obamacare, one of the good things, regardless of what you think good or bad about it, one of the good things was that the pre-existing condition clause was taken out, where any insurance back in 2000, any insurance company can just say no. Because you had a heart disease, but you know what, that heart disease started years ago, we're not going to cover it. Same thing with the tumor, same thing with cancer. Basically, you're just giving this person a death sentence because they can't afford the care, or you're facing family into bankruptcy because they're going to get the policy, but then they can't pay for it.
Right.
And that's a very common form of why people file for bankruptcy is because this type of health situation that happens where the costs are so astronomical that there's simply no way for you to possibly pay it. So he actually had to delay his second treatment because they just didn't have the money. The insurance wouldn't cover it. Family couldn't do it. So they did a press release, and a lot of musicians came out. Even Kid Rock came out and sold some of his personal possessions. They did fundraisers and things like that, trying to get money for him. Unfortunately, as he was going through that second treatment, because his immune system, everything was so
It was already
compromised,
taxed, yeah.
he ended up getting pneumonia, and that's what
Oof.
ultimately caused him to pass away.
Wow, 34.
Yeah, 34. So this is a tribute to him, in memory of him. The impact, I just don't think people appreciate the impact that he's had on music.
Wow. Really?
Because it's death metal, because it's extreme metal.
They don't
I think people dismiss it a bit.
Yeah, I can understand that. Yeah.
But the influences he's had on the musical genre today
Uh-huh.
is kind of
It's
immeasurable in my
astronomical.
opinion.
Yes,
So
yes. So when did they come out?
okay, so the first album, that Scream Bloody Gore album,
Uh-huh.
came out in '87.
87.
And it was followed by Leprosy in '88, Spiritual Healing in '90. So those two albums, Leprosy and Scream Bloody Gore, were like I lived off of those albums.
Gotcha.
And that's what really made every other music too soft to listen to.
Gotcha, yeah.
I couldn't, so I would do this huge death metal phase where I had only the heaviest music, and I rejected Alice in Chains, like I said. I rejected Danzig. All that stuff was silly and comical to me compared to what is, this extreme metal genre.
So other than Death, the name of the group is Death, right?
Death, yes.
Okay. And that's why they call it death metal.
Well, that's what it ended up being called, but
wow.
like I said, Chuck never wanted to take credit for death metal.
Oh, so beautiful. Okay.
Yeah.
So humble.
He just said that that's just the name of my band,
So now, before Death, though, was there any other groups you know of, heavy metal groups that you know of, that had that growling, intense kind of sound?
Yes, but Death, as with all genres, there's always people that precede the one that breaks through.
Gotcha.
But Death was the one that broke through. Death is the one that put death metal and extreme metal on the map, and made it a bit more popular in metal culture. Not popular culture, obviously, but metal culture. So it's the band that breaks through that everybody remembers.
Gotcha.
Okay. But as with all other musicians, he was all pre-influenced by all the greats that came before him.
So young.
A beautiful man inside and out. But man, if you see him play, he's so good as a musician. I just, if anything, you don't even have to see him play. You're gonna hear it. What you're about to hear is not easy music to listen to. It's very complicated.
Okay.
That is what ultimately became the genre of Death. Death is known for obviously the guttural vocals, but also the time signature changes.
Okay.
And the constant disruption within the song. Okay, 1998, Sound of Perseverance. We're going to do Book of Souls.
Okay.
We're doing it because this was your number one recommendation for Death.
Okay.
And I want to honor your request.
Yes,
As I
you.
said, we're going to do some other reactions as well after this, but I feel like this is a good start off point.
so sweet. What a pretty song. Wow. That was remarkable. Now, when did this song come out?
98, I believe.
That was just...
This was towards the end of his... I think that might have been the last death metal, the last death album before he switched over to his alternative band.
That was really good.
But yeah, it's a nice little appetizer.
That's beautiful.
The tone of his sound is very... It's making you cry after the fact. That's adorable.
You know, sometimes it takes a little minute for it to like really...
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
That was, it was too short.
Yes, well, that's why I call it an appetizer, because it's, you know, it's really just kind of like an interlude in between the album and in between the songs. It's definitely something you want to keep going, you know?
Definitely. That was just... That was so warm and inviting.
Yeah. Which is... Obviously, you're talking about extreme metal and death metal, so... But there's beauty in the most extreme and violent metal. There's always... These type of interludes are very common in this genre.
Really?
Yes, absolutely. Because they're excellent musicians, and they know beauty. They just also... The extremeness of the sound of their music is more of what they feel because of... It's how they deal with the world. Their existence, you know, it's how they feel inside.
That was beautiful.
Yeah.
That was absolutely amazing. I really appreciate that song.
Yeah, Chuck, incredibly nice on the inside, loving, caring, but brutality somehow soothes the soul better than happy, nice music. It just, happy, nice music just sounds fake and
I understand.
insincere to me, you know?
I understand.
And it confuses a lot of people because they don't get it. Like when they would talk to Chuck and he'd be so nice, they don't understand how the godfather of death metal, how this guy who sings about the most morbid, dark subject matter is just an absolute sweetheart. People didn't understand, especially back in the 80s. You know, people have all these preconceived notions. They don't get what it feels like to protest existence on the inside and what that actually sounds like when you bring it out.
That.
Yes.
Yes, musically.
Yes.
Indeed.
I spoke to that a lot with when we did the Slayer reaction, but it's a release of how you're feeling, because the world is such an unfair place that when you listen to, at least for me, when I listen to happy music, I feel like I'm not being real with myself, you know? Wow, baby, I understand. And it genuinely makes me happy. When I listen to Death, when I listen to Slayer, it genuinely makes me happy, and it makes me feel like I'm not alone. It makes me feel like there are like-minded individuals who share my emotions. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Wow. That was, but I'm so confused. Was that really a death metal sound? The
brutality, when layered with that beauty, is what makes it good. And that's why when you have something like death metal, which seems like just noise to someone who doesn't understand, when you stop looking at it as just noise and you actually stop and listen to it, you hear the musicality of it. Let's do Open Casket.
Okay.
This is gonna be a love it or hate it, because I'm gonna hit you with
in the face with it.
I don't want to hit you in the face. I don't. Really? But I'm going to not cut any corners here. I'm going to give you a true death metal song from the 80s, which is going to be grimy and nasty and has all the fixins on top of it.
I'm ready for it.
And you give me your personal opinion on what you think of the genre.
I will. I'm going to rock out.
All right, because I just don't want to play you the fluffy stuff. We got to get real here. So Open Casket, love it or hate it, you be the judge. All right, so remember this is the 80s, so record quality is going to be, 80s quality.
I don't care about that. I like that.
It does give it some of the griminess.
Garage, grimy. Yeah, I like that kind of stuff. I feel like you're actually there with them.
But I think this is gonna be your first like ever death metal song, like real death metal song.
All right.
This is exciting. All right.
I'm excited. My first death metal song. Okay.
You ready?
I'm ready, baby. Let's do it.
See the constant
yes,
changes.
Yes, I love it. You're doing it right.
Yeah.
Love how you do that. Effortlessly.
Listen to the drums on this.
Oh, wow. That technique.
Yeah.
Dude.
Fast play. They're bringing it back.
You're doing such a good job, my loves. Oh my God. Oh, goodness gracious. Yes, baby. Come on, bring it back. Bring it back. Good, baby.
Aggressive, yeah? That blast beat.
Babe, honestly, that was freaking awesome. So amazing. That was a fun song. It was aggressive, but it wasn't like, if I'm being honest, I've heard more aggressive songs.
Uh-huh.
Wasn't even that heavy, if I'm being honest. I know I'm not making any sense to anybody.
What would you consider heavier or more aggressive?
Oh, God. Something from Slipknot.
Okay. So here's the thing.
All right. But it was
This
so
is
awesome, though.
But you know what? I respect that because
Jeez.
this is why I wanted to start with something from the 80s before I bring you to individual
I want
thought
heavier,
patterns.
babe. I want heavier. I want heavier. Give it to me.
So individual thought patterns is not heavier than this.
Okay. Is it
But you
deeper?
will think it is because it's more modern. But
Really?
but what I want you to listen to with individual thought patterns is the level of marksmanship. Okay?
Okay.
Remember we talk about people like making complicated music for the sake of being complicated,
Right.
and it doesn't sound good.
Yes, baby. I totally understand. I hate that.
I have nothing wrong with making complicated music,
No.
but if you're gonna do it right.
Do it right. Exactly.
Make it sound good.
Yeah.
What I'm going to play for you, it is within its own little world.
Really?
And remember I told you with Chuck being this kind of perfectionist,
Uh-huh.
what it means is there was a point after I think the third album or the fourth album, could be the third, where he no longer wanted to have like a band. He wanted to be able to just bring in musicians that he wanted based on what he wanted to create.
Right.
So
Yeah, I
he
understand.
felt he didn't want to be constrained by the same three guys or things.
Gotcha.
So because almost every album certain people kept changing, he just realized, you know what, let's just forget the whole band concept and let me just hire musicians based for the album that I'm doing.
That's awesome.
When he did Individual Thought Patterns, he brought on Andy LaRocque. Andy LaRocque is the guy from King Diamond. Remember, I didn't even realize it was Andy when I was listening to
Yeah,
that
I remember you
album.
said that. Yeah, okay, I remember now.
When we did the King Diamond Halloween reaction, that's when I put the two together. That holy crap, that was Andy, because that album I always told you reminded me of King Diamond.
Yeah, you didn't know why.
Now I do, the tone. So
Awesome. Okay.
I'm gonna play it for you now. Now you got a taste of what the first couple albums sounded like.
Yes, I do.
And this is what set the death metal genre on its path.
I want heavier though.
Listen, this was the old school. This is the OG.
Okay.
From there, it only got more brutal, more aggressive, more crazy.
I want that.
But remember, that was not what Chuck wanted.
Okay.
Chuck, again, he doesn't want to be responsible for the death metal genre.
Okay.
Chuck was making the best music he can make. If you listen to death metal now, it doesn't sound like this.
Okay.
Okay? It does still have that speed, that
Is it more
brutality, the
melodic?
constant. No. It's way less. I mean, it's way more brutal. It's way more aggressive. All the stuff you're saying. So
Gotcha.
one thing when you have this problem with sequels in movies, right? One thing that bands tend to do is they have to outdo each other. Yeah. So when you're in the extreme genre, what ended up happening is that nothing could be more extreme enough. I suffered from this too. Remember, nothing was heavy enough for me. I was in search of the heaviest thing,
right.
but the artists were doing that too.
Gotcha.
So bands were trying to outdo each other. Ultimately, what happened...
Do love it, I hate it. Good.
Yeah, but ultimately what happened with death metal, at least for me, is that it became oversaturated. And you could not tell a death metal song apart from one from another.
Really?
They all started to sound the same. It all was brutal, fast, and it wasn't even until the vocals kicked in that you even knew what band you were listening to. It just was all started to sound like the same crap.
That's ridiculous.
Death never fell into that category because with each album they evolved their sound and they created something new.
That's
and that's what makes
beautiful.
Death stand out
I
out
respect that.
of that genre. Yeah.
Okay. All right. What's next?
Okay. I don't know if you're ready for this.
Oh, I'm ready, baby. I'm ready. I want something harder, heavier,
I don't
more
know if
aggressive.
Okay, I don't know if I'm going to give this to you, but I know I'm going to give you something that I know you have never heard before.
Okay.
First, you have Chuck, who is the band leader, who is the conceptual genius behind this all.
Yes.
But then he brings on Andy LaRocque from King Diamond. He brings on, I think his name was Steve Giorgio. He brings on Gene. Together, they create what you're about to hear.
Okay. Wow.
And
I can imagine.
I will say nothing more.
All right, let's do it.
But at the time,
I'm hoping it's
this was 93, and at the time, I never heard anything like it. It threw me back because it was very different from the Death I knew before that. But at the same time, I'm like, yes, you know. And Creator had a similar evolution. People who know Creator know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
They had a very similar sound change. You have no idea what I'm talking about right
I
now.
don't,
Creator.
but I'm just so excited. I'm anticipating
But I was
the
listening
song.
to both of them at the same time.
I'm gonna love this. This is a love it or hate it. You think?
I don't know what this is because, you know, the first one was Make Sister Cry.
Right.
It made you cry a little bit after the song because it
The
kind of took
song
a
made
minute
me
to
cry, though.
I know it took a little minute to sink in.
Oh yeah.
So
it took me a minute for me to. I had to actually process.
you guys weren't
all of it.
wrong.
It's
The
so
tears did
beautiful.
come just a little bit later. But and the other one was Love It or Hate It, which did you love it or hate it?
I love it.
Yeah.
I just
good.
wanted it to be harder, more, heavier. I want it to be heavier.
It sounds like he's corrupted you the way he's corrupted me. Because that's, man, I went that was several years I went down that
man.
road of nothing is heavy enough.
But is Slipknot heavier though?
No.
Really?
No, Slipknot is more hardcore.
Really? So I don't know my genre.
And well, the
don't
thing
know my
is,
genre.
there's heavy in the sense that there's like a wall of sound. Like, did you hear like you were assaulted by the music
It slapped
in
me in
Open
the
Casket?
face.
Drums were blast
Yeah.
beating you in the eardrums and
Yeah.
everything. Had it been recorded in a more modern day,
yeah.
it would have floored you.
I understand. Yeah.
With
Okay.
Slipknot, they're more aggressive because they're more about that hardcore aggressive sound.
Punch in the face.
But you don't have that same wall of sound of just pure.
And honestly, I did hear that. And
Yeah.
I can just imagine if it
Yeah.
was recorded in today's studios.
Well, you're gonna get a little taste of something a little more modern from
All right,
them.
now when was this song? When did this come out?
This is 93.
I'm excited.
Individual Thought Patterns.
Individual thought patterns. Okay, the patterns are individual. They're all separate.
I'm not gonna say he stepped out of his comfort zone, but he definitely showed off just how good he was in this album. You could already tell he was an excellent guitarist,
Gotcha.
but he definitely shows off here just how complex and intricate he could actually get.
Gotcha.
And it's not just, like I said, it's not just playing well. It's not just playing well, it's also composing the music in a way that sounds good. Because like I said, complexity for complexity's sake doesn't do anything for
of
me.
course not.
I
Not for
still
me.
need it to sound good.
Yes.
I'm going to play 2 songs off of this album for you. The second one we're going to throw on Patreon.
Okay.
And this one we'll put on YouTube, okay?
Okay, cool.
Remember your volume is here if it's too loud. Try to not get scared right away because the song just hits you immediately. There's no build up. So don't get scared or think it's too loud.
Really?
Metal is meant to be loud. Yeah. So if you can handle it, definitely it's worth handling because you really want to let it in. Okay.
Okay, I do.
All
I
right.
don't want to blow my eardrums though. So
No.
hopefully it's
I
loud, but not like.
I
crazy loud.
tested the volume beforehand. It
Good shit.
shouldn't do that.
All right, let's rock out. Come on, baby, let's do it.
This is Overactive Imagination, the very first song off of that album. So from the very first song, you realize what you're in for. This is exciting for me because I've been wanting to share this song with you for like ever.
Really?
Like since we started this channel, I've been wanting to share
Okay,
this song
baby,
with
good.
you.
I'm happy. I'm excited.
I
All
got
right.
it. But look, reality is far more evil than a demon.
Right.
That was the kind of philosophy that he had.
Rock out. Oh,
Here we go.
he's gorgeous.
dance part.
Oh, wow.
You hear that bass in the background? Yeah.
Okay. Okay. You
Okay.
sweating, baby? You working up a sweat? Okay.
There's a cymbal in there during the chorus where he hits it,
Uh-huh.
and I've listened to this song for years. I could never time it right because it's
Is
so
it towards
off
the
tempo.
end? Was it
No,
towards
no,
the
no.
end?
It's like this part right here. You hear that? That
Oh,
cymbal?
yeah.
Just try to time it.
I did it.
Good? What?
Yeah, it's simple. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Yeah, I don't know if it doesn't say ding.
Wait a minute.
It's really easy.
I have never.
Really, babe.
I've never been able to time that cymbal.
I did something.
You did it in like 1 second.
It's not
Okay,
difficult though, babe. Stop.
I'm triggered right now. That's pissed
How?
me off. Dude, I've been listening to this song for years. I can never time it.
Oh, babe. I'm sorry.
I have no musical ability. This is why. You know what?
I don't think that's what it means.
No, you are more musically inclined than I am.
Oh, I wouldn't
because
go that
I
far
have
at
been
all.
trying to time that signal, and somehow you figured out that there's a build up to it that he hits it with that I have not been able
It's
to figure out in all
okay,
these
though.
years. Holy crap.
Stop.
That's such a simple thing, but
That was an awesome
impresses
song,
the
though.
hell out of me. It's such an off-tempo kind of song.
Yeah.
From the jump. This is the Scream Bloody Gore album, by the way, that I was telling you about with the skulls and stuff.
Yeah, but some way they're able to make it work.
Well, they make it work because they are apparently like you, that you get the tempo.
I don't know about that now. I don't go that far.
Because some of it is easy, but like that little cymbal thing where he hits it, I can never tell when it's coming in, because to me it doesn't sound like it's coming in on tempo. It sounds like it's
Really?
coming in between the tempos.
It is.
Right, but I can't adjust my brain
Interesting.
to hit it in
Okay.
between tempo. For me, it always has to be on tempo.
Okay, I got you.
But
I
you were able to
understand.
hit it in between the tempo like no problem.
Oh, baby. It's okay.
I don't know how to feel about that.
Oh, that's all right.
But okay.
But that was a really fun song.
All right,
It was
let's-
definitely heavier than the previous one.
Yeah, but again, still 93, so it's not like something from the 2000s
But
or anything.
solid song. Solid band.
Yeah. Musically,
Oh, man.
absolutely
Oh, there's no flaws. I don't
impeccable.
hear anything that's missing.
Yes.
with him.
Super talented. That's what I'm saying. I feel like he's kind of underrated, maybe because he died so young, maybe because it was
possibly.
extreme metal and it was death metal that people just didn't pay much attention to it. But for his talent, pound for pound, and his ability on the
Pound for
guitar,
pound, indeed.
he should be
Oh
known
my
as one
God.
of the greats.
He's not the only one on the guitar, though, of course.
No, of course not.
There's
Like I
probably
said,
like
he
two.
he had Andy LaRocque on there, who was from King Diamond.
Right.
Okay, but what you don't understand is that while he's singing, he is playing these complex melodies. It's not like typically you'll see with a singer who also is a guitarist,
Right.
that when the singing part comes, he won't
They're
play
no
as
longer
much.
playing exactly right.
But
so
people
he's
like-
singing and playing at the same time.
Yes, but singing and playing complex rhythms and complex notes while he sings. The only other person who I really see doing that on a regular basis is someone like Dave Mustaine, who that's the kind of skill level
It's
we're
my
talking
Dave.
about, in my opinion. You know,
What can I say? It's
Yeah.
my Dave.
your boy Dave.
That's my boy. I love him.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. All right, let's bang out another one from the album. We'll throw this on the Patreon.
Yeah, patron, yes.
Now, I am playing my favorite songs off of that album, but The Philosopher is one that was actually being requested by our viewers.
Okay.
So, not to disappoint them, I am going to throw The Philosopher in there as well. So, we've already got the reactions we've done for YouTube, so the rest of these will go on Patreon. We're going to do Trapped in a Corner and The Philosopher. Those are all off of that album. And then, Chuck, till next time, my friend.
Yeah.
If you really need more extreme aggressive death, if you're liking this genre, then definitely you're going to get a lot of recommendations for some serious death metal
Good.
coming your way. So I guess we're going to have to
want
revisit
heavy.
this.
Give me the heaviest you guys could find. Give it to me.
Yeah, but I mean heavy like the way you consider Slipknot heavy, or like
I
legitimate?
want heavy. I got a taste for some real heavy stuff now.
Like
I want it to be like it's pounding in my chest.
like brain crushingly heavy.
Yeah.
You heard the lady.
I want heavy.
Send us your recommendations. Give the lady what she wants. Let's bring her some of the most brutal death metal you can find.
Oh my God, I'm excited.
Let's see what she thinks.
Well, I hope you all enjoyed this reaction video. I sure had a good time today. Thank you so much, Wolf.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yes,
Big
I
fan
did.
for me.
I want more. But if you guys did, please give us a thumbs up. Comment below. Do not leave without subscribing. And please do share our videos as well.
Yes. And join us on Patreon.
Yes, join us on Patreon. I always keep forgetting.
Yeah, and as always.
As always. Keep it metal. Metal forever, baby.
Love y'all.
Bye. Love you guys. Please click the link below to see my schedule on Twitch and join me live and be a part of all the beautiful fun. Now, before you go, please don't forget to click that follow button. And if you don't want to miss out, be sure to turn your notifications on. But if you ever miss any of my streams, you can always watch them back with ease by clicking here. Let's do it, baby.
Okay.
Let's do it.
What is this? Like,
High
why
five,
would you?
Babe. Let's be ready.
First of all,
Fist pump. I'm excited.
I hate to high five.
Fist
Then
pump.
why would you leave me hanging on top of that?
Because I was laughing. It was so hard. Fist pump, babe. Let's be
Because you
ready.
know how much I hate.
You ready?
I hate that even more.
Babe, come on. Ready?
Don't explode it. Don't explode it. Oh my god.
Thank you for watching, everyone. Please don't forget to follow, subscribe, like, and share.